let me put this to you. I feel distinctly less free today than I did 2 years ago.
In what respect?
In America. Because we have obviously seen quite a dramatic shift in terms of, like, I'm not traveling abroad or coming back until this regime is over, if it ever ends. Because I don't trust an administration that decides to apply the law differently to individuals it dislikes and wishes to punish. I also don't like an administration that says that we won't admit people with certain views, or we will expel people, deport people for expressing an opinion about foreign policy if they are a student and not here as a citizen. I'm a little nervous of executive branches that declare 9 emergencies, which allows them to do things that would never be usually allowed in a regular. So, for example, in my hometown of D.C., the police is not accountable to the population. It has no democratic accountability whatsoever. Obviously, and we have, if you watched the cabinet meeting recently, it would be hard-pressed to see in style any difference between the way cabinet members of Trump ludicrously and appallingly groveled in ways that just, I mean, any normal person cringes at that. Any English person giggles at it. It's so bizarre. You have someone who's declaring that the habeas corpus is something they may have to reconsider. At what point is what's happening in America, what's the best historical precedent for this shift, really, from what appears to be a democratic system to an authoritarian strongman system built around a personality cult?
Have you read or reread recently It Can't Happen Here?
The Sinclair Lewis book?
Yeah.
Yes, I did. I haven't read it. I read it 5 years ago.
So
10 years ago now.
In Trump 1, my test was, is it Buzz Windrip yet? And it wasn't. But it's a lot more Buzz Windrip this time around. No question. However, I don't think Tim Snyder and others, including you, are right to think in terms of interwar European dictators or fascism. Nor, although it's of course fun, is it right to think that this is Rome and we're watching the end of the Republic and Octavian Augustus is emerging as princeps. I think those are tremendously enjoyable journalistic tropes, but they are, I think, historically problematic. Let me try and explain to you why I think that, because this is really the really important part of the story of our conversation today. Yeah. I think part of what's gone wrong in this discussion is that people don't have a very good grasp of what those fascist regimes were like, or for that matter, what the end of the Roman Republic was like. I went back to my book War of the World, which has a chapter called Strange Folk about the fascist regimes of the interwar period. And a way of kind of simplifying this is that if we had a time machine and I could kind of take you back there, I think you'd just be stunned at how violent and militarized these regimes were, in the sense that if you think of Germany 1938, and I think that's appropriate because, you know, we're well into the Trump regime. This is year 5. But year 5 of the Hitler regime, if you'd gone to Berlin, I mean, just about every man is in uniform by that point. The whole nature of the regime is preparation for war, and it is a violent regime with concentration camps where there is absolutely no rule of law. And the rule of law had ceased to exist in Germany entirely by 1938. So I think it's a category error to think that that's what we're seeing here. I also think that the imperial presidency, the expansion of the executive branch, long predates Trump. And, you know, this is, I think, a point Jack Goldsmith has made very well. If you don't like the way that Trump is using the executive branch, you shouldn't have liked the way that that Biden did it and the way that Obama did it and the way that Bush did it. I mean, the expansion of presidential power is, of course, a long-standing problem of the United States. You could say that Roosevelt greatly expanded it in the 1930s, that Nixon tried to be the imperial president and failed. And here I think I can offer a better historical analogy than Hitler, Mussolini, Augustus, or any of these. I just think that we should think of Donald Trump as Richard Nixon's revenge. Because they have the same enemies. New York Times, Harvard, Department of Justice, bureaucracy. And they are, in a sense, approaching the problem of governing America in a similar way. We're this overstretched superpower with all these hanger-on allies who are just freeloaders. And I think there's a sense in which this is the imperial presidency. As Schlesinger wrote that book about Nixon, Redux, only this time no more Mr. Nice Guy.